Hi everyone, welcome to episode 3 of How to Read Oracle Cards. I hope you've had a great week. Now, episode 3 is where we learn how to ask empowering questions of the Oracle cards. Now I'm going to be turning my head to this screen for a little bit. I've written a couple of things down so I can keep on track. The quality of the oracle reading begins with the quality of the questions. With oracle cards, it's always best not to rely on a yes-no question, because basically what you're doing is you're giving the power to the cards. So let's say I pick a card here and I ask it, am I moving forward? Will I be moving forward? And I get coming to life. Of course I'm going to get a yes. But the best way to ask questions of your oracle card is to have heart-based questions. Questions that relate to, questions that are going to support you, questions that are going to help with your growth, and also questions that are going to help you open up your intuition. This card I just cut the cards and it's come up again. So basically now we're coming to life within this series. Okay, let me pick another one. So it's how to also move from fear-based questions to empowering questions. Now, fear-based questions are, should I be doing this? Should I be doing this? What happens if? Or what if? It's always the what if. Should I? Will I? Can I? And also the open and closed questions, which is a yes or a no. To help you open up your intuition, it's always best to, I'm going to cut the cards again. Okay. Be slow and steady. Take your card. Feel how you're feeling inside. And then we can have a look at this card and see it's a snail. As we know, snails are very slow. They have a shell and they move forward very slowly. And they're very determined as to where they're going. But also, the person in this picture not only has a shell, they have wings as well. So, an empowering question for this one is, how can I move forward with ease? Now, the answer there is slow and steady. But then you've got your wings there to help you move out of the situation if you need to. Because every little image in the picture here is symbolic in some way. Now, the symbols don't relate to the outer part of our lives. They more relate to our internal landscape. So, with her having a mask on, do we have a mask anywhere? Do we wear a mask in certain situations? Can we feel the wings in our own back that can help lift us out of situations? Because it's all good to be, slow and steady going through certain situations. Maybe it's a situation where you feel a sense of deja vu and you've been there before. And you can lift yourself out of that situation. It doesn't look too threatening where she is. She looks very determined in moving forward. And it's also to feel in your body as well. What are you feeling when you see this card? So I'm going to put that down, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out 3 cards. Okay, another jumper, flying, which relates to the wings on the back. You find that when you get really connected to your deck, it will just intuitively throw cards out because it knows, it can feel what you're talking about. It can feel your intention about what the card reading is going to be about. Okay, so let me grab 3 cards. I don't have any jumpers. I do like jumpers when they come out. No, okay. Well, I'm going to put it in 3 piles. And we have had a couple of jumpers. And put it in actually 5 piles. I'm going to grab this one here and put that on top. And have a look and see what we've got. Okay, so the underlying energy is rock bottom. And that's not a place that everyone wants to be, rock bottom. But sometimes we need to go to rock bottom to really understand, to climb our way back up and remove things that were previously there. You know, remove old ways of doing things, not doing things the same way, doing things a different way so that we don't hit rock bottom again. Because as we're climbing back up the ladder, we can identify the patterns that we've been going through. And we can change those. We can change our attitude to certain situations. Instead of being very reactive, it's always good to sit back and watch and listen and just wait for the right time. Because sometimes we're placed in situations where we feel we need to react, but where the best thing for us to do is to sort of sit back and just watch what goes on. And that can help us get to understand ourselves as well. And oracle cards are a great way to do that. So the underlying energy is rock bottom. So our 3 cards that we have, okay, let me just give it a good intention. What is the best way for me to support my, in what ways can I support my spiritual growth? Okay, so we have a magic stream. We'll have a look at that. And then we have rescue. I think we had that card last week, didn't we? And then we have the dragon's lair, which is quite interesting because they all seem to be coming out from the middle of nowhere, basically. We've got the magic stream coming out from that cloud. We've got rescue, which looks like it's on an island in the middle of nowhere. And we have dragon's lair, which is another, looks like an island coming out of nowhere. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. So if you were giving a reading here for yourself, what question would you ask? Would you ask a similar question? What would support my spiritual growth? Okay, so you can work along with me. So magic stream. So what are you getting for magic stream? If we look at the water, now water relates to consciousness. And you can see it flowing, coming from the top of this little island up here. But it's sort of coming from the creative source as well. And there's a bird. It looks like an ibis. No, it's a stork. So when you think of storks, what do storks do? I mean, storks have big nests up at the top of, what am I thinking of? You know, the German houses, and they build big nests. But what stalks also remind me of is they bring, you know, the old stories of where they bring babies. You know, people are expecting, you know, they say, you know, the stalk's coming, which is bringing a baby, so which is new birth. So I would sort of, you know, say how to support my spiritual growth would be new beginnings and keep things flowing. So keeping the flow in with the new beginning that's coming along. Because you can see the water flowing down, and you can see the tree up there which has got growth. And if you can see, there's birds in the sky. Now birds are messengers. So if you have any birds in any cards, you can sort of say that messages are on the way. But yeah, you can see it doesn't seem to be any fish in there, but it seems to be little flies coming up through that bubbling brook there, little insects. Now, for me, flies are just so annoying. You sort of swat them away everywhere. But they're just sort of minding their own business in the lake, which is good. It's what you want. So there's new beginnings coming, whether that be in my, you know, spiritual process, but it's always keeping it in flow, keeping it flowing. Now the next card here, it's rescue. Oh, sorry, one thing we can sort of look at as well is the number. Now the number 18 is quite relevant because if we add it together, it equals 9. Now 9s are endings. They're not the complete endings because we go to 10. But once we go to 10, we start at 1. So 9 is endings, and with the stalk here is about to bring new beginnings. So it could be with the flow of consciousness here, the flow of water, a certain flow of consciousness is coming to an end. So therefore, needs to be some new beginnings within a different way of thinking. Now, the flies here, when I mentioned before, they sort of, you know, to me, they're quite annoying. They buzz all around your face. So it could be feeling a little bit irritated about the new beginning that's coming through. So as you can see, that you can get layers and layers within one oracle card. Now, if you're going to give a reading, you're not going to sort of really sit here and really look at the card and pick everything out, because these things you will be drawn to. So whatever you're drawn to within the cards, that's what you'll read about. You may not notice the insects in the water. You may notice the moon, the crescent moon up here. So there could be something happening when there is, you know, the beginning of a crescent moon. Now I'm not too sure whether that's waxing or waning. I sort of haven't really got to that point yet. But the water, the glistening water, the freshness of the water, and water is about cleansing as well. So being 18, being an ending, it could be cleansing out the old ways of thinking for the new beginnings to come through. And that's a way to support my spiritual growth. Now, if we go to the next one, which is 16, which ends up being 7. Now, 7 is my life path number. And 7 relates to spiritualism, it relates to teachers, it relates to research. So my life path is a 7. Now we have like a floating island again, and it looks like there's somebody in this cave here. We've got, it looks like a home, you know, there's a chimney here with smoke coming out of it. We've got someone here who looks like they're trying to search for something there because they've got this long long hourglass in a balloon. So they're sort of above. They sort of can't really come down and see because they're going to, crash into the hill if they do. So what needs rescuing? This is to support my spiritual growth, what do I need to rescue? Considering the first card was regarding the endings and new consciousness coming through, a new beginning coming through, what do I still need to rescue? Now, we still have the water, which is the flowing consciousness. It's the cleansing of the self. There's trees. They don't look as green as the other card did. See how there's a lot of green in that card. Now, green relates to your heart chakra. So with the heart chakra, and there's a lot of growth because your heart is the basis of, your spiritual work, your spiritual growth. You do it because you love it. We have a green balloon, so it has transferred over into this card in the green balloon. So this person up here in the balloon, who is really heart-centered, is out to rescue something or someone. As we can see them in the balloon, they're looking, desperately looking for someone. Now, the tree here is a little bit orange. Now, if we relate it to the chakra system, our sacral chakra is orange, and orange relates to creativity. So is it a matter of rescuing my creativity? Is it a matter of, rescuing my consciousness, parts of my consciousness, but doing it in a creative way, doing it in a heartfelt way, which is quite interesting. What are you getting out of this card? And what do you feel when you look at this card? Is it a feeling of happiness? Is it a feeling of sadness? Is it a feeling of, I'm not sure what it is? And that's okay. It doesn't have to come to you straight away. Now, the third card here, the Dragon's Lair, which is 19. Now, 9 and 1 is, of course, 10. So with the first card being 9, being the endings, but not fully the ending till we come to 10, and this card in the middle being 16, which is a 7, due to, being research and teaching and spirituality, is an ending here. So with the Dragon's Lair being almost frozen over, you can see the dragon up here. You almost need the dragon to breathe on it with his fire so to sort of thaws out the ice. Not somewhere I'd like to stay, it'd be too cold. But we can see there's a little bit of fire there. So there's a little bit of fire starting. There is a stairway up to the doorway up here. And they both have a doorway, both these. So whether it is about rescuing, someone within a freezing cold area with a dragon, the damsel in distress, but then how does it relate to my spiritual growth? So whether it's something I've put on ice and kept it there until the right time comes along, that's what it could be. But just still having the fire there smouldering. So the idea is still there. It's still in its, hibernation stage. Has still a bit of heat. And you can see it's starting to sort of, flow. But then now it's got me thinking now. So the magic stream, which is the flow of consciousness, is coming of rescuing the flow. So it keeps flowing and it doesn't freeze over. So that's something that could be, assisting my spiritual growth. So out of these 3 cards, what are you getting out of these 3 cards for yourself? Or even some healing. It could be some healing from it. So the rescue part here, if we're sort of reading them across, it's so things don't turn to ice, because there still needs to be movement. Because if there's no movement, then things are going to, let me get them in the right way, get them this way. Things will turn to ice. So we just need to keep moving. Okay. Because I don't want to get to rock bottom and have to do the whole thing again because there was something I forgot to do or something I should have done and I didn't really listen properly. So oracle cards are good for self-reflection. They're a self-reflection tool and they help you move forward spiritually. Now let's have a look. Let's have a look at another one. Let's have an ending. A card that's going to give us the overall energy of that reading. So cards are going to jump out. And this, sorry, I forgot last week to put a little a journal at the bottom, but I'll put it in there this week. So it will be from, which will have week 1 in there as well. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so let's split the deck and see what comes out. This is my favorite card. This is the overall energy. Okay. And it is a 27, which goes to 9. So there's more endings. So this card always reminds me of home. And where do you feel home? Do you feel home in your own self? Does your home feel like your home? If you go out in nature, does that feel like home to you? What does home feel like? I remember writing some, I journaled with this card, and these are always good to journal with. But I'd always emphasize the fact of, journaling with oracle cards, because you get so much out of it. You just sort of let your mind go again. You sort of let your mind flow, and you just start writing. Sometimes you don't even have to think about what you're writing. But where do you feel at home? And what does it feel like to you? So when you look at this card, what do you feel? Do you feel a sense of completeness, wholeness? Can you imagine it being a tree in the woods with a door here? And what would it look like inside? Is there a spiral staircase going up the middle or round the sides of the tree? And who lives in there? We can see an owl on the outside. We can see a clock in the outside decor. All the leaves, the trees. Reminds me of the Magic Faraway Tree. And actually the movie of that is coming out this year, which I'll be interested to go and see. I used to love those books. Dame Wash-a-Lot and Saucepan Man. If you're old as me, then you'd remember the Enid Blyton books and going up to the top of the tree. And there are different lands at the top of the tree. So this is another thing that you can do with oracle cards. This is card here. It just really reminds me of, the Magic Faraway Tree and Toffee Pops, Dame Wash-a-Lot, different lands at the top. So this is the great thing about oracle cards. You can just let your imagination go. And even within the imagination, you will get a lot of intuitive hits out of there as well. So those are some ways that you can ask, not open or closed questions but empowering questions that are going to help you on your spiritual journey and understand where you are at the moment. Use it as a tool for your own spiritual growth. So I hope you've enjoyed the session today. If there's anything that you need, just leave it in the comments section. Like, subscribe. If you'd like to know more even about a tarot course, I'll leave the link in the description box. Yes, and if you have any questions or anything, just leave them in the comments section and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I hope you're really enjoying the session. Again, if there's any questions, anything you want to know, just put it in the comments section and I'll do a video and answer you. So have a great week. Take care and I'll see you next week. Bye.